Let's get into the Saluki Radio preview now. The Illinois State Redbirds for this Sunday matchup at 3 o'clock. And, Coach, I want to begin with you. Just the history of these two teams. Obviously, so many games have been logged throughout the years. With Chris Lowry told us over the summer he had strong hatred for the Redbirds in Illinois State is because so often these two teams have met in significant basketball games when it comes to postseason play in the Missouri Valley Conference Tournament.
Oh man, 90! What a season! Fans watching this, they know about it. It was we won the league and we won a bunch of games. I think 26 total, and we were hoping that we would get an at-large bid. But man, at that time, you don't even begin to think about that stuff. You had to win the Valley tournament, at least in your mind, and it was a great college game. It was at Redbird Arena of all places, and that's what led to to Arch Madness, where the Missouri Valley moved the conference tournament to a neutral site, and that's become one of the greatest tournaments in the country, literally, with fan attendance and terrific basketball. And then in '93, with the amount of pressure you've heard us talk about, I keep talking about Tyrone Bell recently. He's on my mind a lot because he was so tough, and Ashraf Amaya and that group of seniors who just had, we've been to 4 NITs in a row, and that wasn't good enough for anybody. And man, there was a lot of pressure to go the NCAA tournament. And to finally, and of all people, to beat Illinois State, it was just magical in '93 at the old Checker Dome.
Of course, Illinois State right now, they have the longest drought in terms of the NCAA tournament. They haven't been since 1998. And you look at this group this year, Chase Walker, who's been hurt, but man, he may be the most improved player in the league. I don't even think that's a question, but they were able to get Johnny Kinzinger back for the Murray State game, and man, he made clutch shots late in that game to put the Redbirds on top.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, starting with Walker, a guy that as a freshman you knew he was going to be a good player. At least you thought he would. All depends on how much guys really love to play. And he obviously does, because here's a guy shooting at 6'9", and he's a big dude. He's shooting 80% from the free throw line, 62 from the floor, 4 of 8 from 3. And so Southern is fortunate in those respects that he won't play on Sunday. But going to Kinzinger, here's a guy that's 5'11", probably with lifts in his heels, that he's really a 2 guard, but he leads them assists in a 2-to-1 assist ratio. But Banks has more assists, but Kinzinger is a 3-point shooter. He's a mid-range shooter, but he also loves to feed his guys.
Former Saluki, Dalton Banks, he has really improved in year 2 under Coach Peden, and the reason the Redbirds have had success this year, a lot of it has to do with Dalton Banks.
Dalton Banks' MO is to get paint touches. His whole deal is get the ball with his strength. He's really done a great job with his body getting strong. His job is to get the ball into the lane, really contract the defense, shrink the defense, and either, if they don't, look to score with his body or kick out. He's not a scoring point guard. He's a facilitating point guard. But when he goes inside, he's always looking to get the bucket if you're going to give it to him. But from there, he's looking to spray it out. And he really keeps his teammates involved. Dalton's playing good basketball. He leads them in assists. He plays a bunch of minutes. He's a big point guard. And, man, he's got this game marked on his calendar for sure.
When you look at for Illinois State, what was such a big part of being without Walker in that game was they had Bozer step up in a huge way. Caden Bozer making his start of the year, which was his first start for the Redbirds, and he brought it all for the Redbirds and was a huge part in that win at Murray, Kentucky.
He averaged 4 points at UMKC. I think they call it Kansas City now, the university. It's like, then where'd he go in the last 2 years? So you got to do your research. So he played at a very good league where Coach Nagy played. He played in Coach Nagy's league at Valdosta State. Coach Nagy played at Delta State, obviously at a different time, but he played in a good Division II league, averaged 12.5 points both games. They did a nice job spotting this player in Bozer. He's a guy with size. He can shoot threes. He can go inside. But again, he's a guy that is just thrilled to be a part of a good Illinois State team. And you can just see it on their face. You can just see these guys really play together.
Landon Wolf, know his name because he was at Northern Iowa last year. He transfers in along with Bozer, transfer into the program. Not a ton of transfers in for Coach Peden, but Landon Wolf being one of them has been a big impact.
Landon Wolf and Dalton Banks are the only two that have started all 14 games this year, mainly because Walker and Kinzinger were hurt, and they both started 13, played in 13 games apiece. But not sexy, not fancy, just a solid guy that can make a shot. I know he can get to the lane. He's a mid-range guy as well. He can make a three if called upon.